Since the Seiko SKX and the old Seiko 5 line were discontinued in 2019, the brand has changed, leaving us with the feeling that they don't offer affordable mechanical watches like they used to. While there is some truth to that belief, we are today going to look at what I think is their best offering right now. The Seiko SRPE51K1, also called DressKX, which is from Seiko's newer Seiko 5 sports line. With a diameter of 40mm, short lug-to-lug distance, and being relatively slim compared to Seiko's divers watches, it sits very well on the wrist. Next to my Tissot PRX, which is also 40mm, it looks much smaller. The case is made from stainless steel, has circular brushing on the top, and has polished sides, which curve inwards and are one of the reasons this watch is so comfortable. The crown is at the 4 o'clock position and is protected by crown guards that blend in nicely with the case. All of this is that Seiko magic which makes their cases so great. It also has drilled lugs, which makes changing the strap much easier. Another feature I like, which I think will be a nice addition if you are new to watches, is the see-through case back. The automatic movement isn't decorated, but for many of us it's still fun to look at it from time to time. The dial is versatile yet beautiful. The sunburst anthracite color has been popular in Seiko watches for a long time. As you can see, their first dive watch, the 62 MAS, has a sunburst dial just like this one. The markers and hands have also been inspired by Seiko's dive watches, though they have been slimmed down and are a bit more elegant. This is why many call it the DressKX, as it is inspired by the Seiko SKX, but it's less of a tool and is a watch that can be dressed up. And of course, it has Seiko's own LumiBright luminescent paint, so it glows brightly in the dark. So overall, this makes for a great all-rounder everyday watch, so you can have this as your only piece. But we all know that once you get interested in mechanical watches, it's hard to stop after getting the first one. But luckily for you, this watch doesn't cost too much, so you can get a great start without spending a fortune. Seiko has always been known for a great value for money, but in recent years they've increased their prices without delivering much more. And they still haven't perfected the art of aligning a ring to a metal disc. It's common to have a misaligned chapter ring or bezel insert. As you might be able to see, the chapter ring is misaligned ever so slightly to the right on this particular watch. People justify Seiko's price increase by claiming we've been spoiled by too low prices, which I as a customer think is stupid. We want low prices, or at least considerably better quality if the price is increased. I think the new Seiko 5 sports line gives us just that. Compared to the old Seiko 5 line, we now have more substantial case designs and proportions, better water resistance, better finishing, the upgraded 4R36 movement with hacking and hand winding, and solid bracelet links, except for the end links. The new Seiko 5s cost about twice as much, but I think these are real upgrades that are worth paying for. The new Seiko 5s still don't have everything we wish for, but then the price will have to be increased even more, so I think this is a good middle ground. It's the more expensive offerings by Seiko that are in need of some upgrades, as right now I think they are too similar to these Seiko 5s, and I can't justify paying $1,000 for a Seiko diver. The new Seiko 5 sports line all have hardlex crystals and not sapphire. As you can see, it has got a rather deep scratch and the crystal has chipped at 2 points after wearing it for 1 year. With my Seiko SKX, I haven't had this problem because the bezel protects the crystal, but with this watch, the crystal is exposed. The first scratch will always hurt the most, but once you get used to it, you can easily ignore it. For the price and given the fact that this is Seiko's entry-level line, it is forgivable. But again, in the more expensive lines like Presage and Prospex, it is not. Micro brands somehow manage to sell watches with a Seiko movement and sapphire crystal for around $150. Though their designs are often stolen and they lack brand recognition, so I personally still prefer buying a Seiko for that reason. Solid end links and a milled clasp would be better, but let's not forget that Rolex still had stamped and folded ones not too long ago. The watch has a lug width of 20mm, so it should be easy to find a fitting strap or bracelet. A good option is to buy a bracelet by Strapcode or Miltat. I have one on my SKX and I think it's a nice upgrade. But I think the standard bracelet is good enough on the SRPE, so you can definitely live with it. One thing I didn't notice at first is that the bracelet is made up of single links, so it's a false 3-link bracelet. It doesn't matter too much, but just something you should know. Before buying a specific Seiko 5 model, don't forget to check out their other Seiko 5s. There's nothing worse than, well yeah there is, but it's not a pleasant experience when you buy a product and then you see something you would have liked even more. Seiko has 42mm dive style watches which look similar to the SKX, new 38mm dive style watches, GMT watches, and field style watches, all in their Seiko 5 collection. They are priced differently, but all of them are relatively affordable. So, the Seiko SRPE51K1 represents great versatility and value at the entry level of Seiko's mechanical watch offerings. It isn't perfect, but Seiko has to differentiate their Seiko 5 line from their more expensive watches, so that explains the hard-X crystal, stamped clasp, and hollow end links. If you want to check out and maybe buy this or any other Seiko 5 sports watch, they will be linked in the description. Are you still here? Yeah? Well, this means you enjoyed this video and I'm sure you will also like my future ones. So subscribe to my channel to make sure you don't miss them. See you soon.